started the Haunted Mansion when I was 15 years old. And before that, I was doing it in my basement in my house. And the last year that we did that, I did it for like family and friends. And the last year we hung a sign up on the road and it said, "Haunted House, 50 cents." And we had a little line of cars on the road, pull off, and I was touring people through my basement. And the county had just opened Boatman Park.
I first experienced Kevin McCurdy's Haunted Mansion as a customer. I went there and I had such a fun time. It was probably one of the highlights of my grade school life. It was almost so fun that I didn't want to leave when it was over.
I was a magician at the time, and I was doing a magic show for the grand opening of Boatman Park, and it was in this old building, and it was just, my father was there, my mom was there, and they were very encouraging parents. My father helped me kind of write up a letter to the county saying, "Can we do a haunted house in this building?" And the county said, "Sure."
What compelled me to join Kevin McCurdy's was I wanted acting experience. That was my primary focus. But I also just liked the energy there. Everyone was a little off, but everyone felt comfortable enough with each other to just let loose and have a good time. So that's what really drew me to it.
I think really people who are interested in, first of all, outgoing people who are interested in sort of entertaining people or like to scare people, or maybe they like to just like Halloween itself. Over the years we connected with these people who sometimes tried to sort of fit into a certain group, but maybe didn't. But down here, they always kind of thought they fit in.
To be honest, when I first got to the Haunted Mansion on the first night, I was extremely nervous because just like when I was growing up, I felt like maybe I wouldn't fit in. And I just remember looking at people who were very extroverted and like bouncing off each other. Everyone was super outgoing. And I was a little scared, but then I quickly realized that none of them really fit into any sort of box anyway. So that I quickly got over that, and I was able to just form some cool connections with them.
And over the years, some of those people, we really became family. Some of the people that we've attracted over the years were also very creative people. And those people went on to do great things, and they kind of use this sort of as a kind of a bounce off place where they could come down and they could practice whatever they were into.
Everyone up against the wall! Up against the wall! Let me introduce myself.
I celebrated Halloween very typically growing up. I would get dressed up and go out with a couple of my friends, usually my best friend Johnny, and whoever else I was friends with at the time. But I remember Halloween was always a time for me to be as creative as possible. I didn't want to just go to the store and buy one of those packaged Halloween costumes.
I think there's been a lot of people over the years that have come that at first didn't even they wanted to be part of it, but they didn't know exactly how. And they didn't want to do a speaking role because they just wanted to jump out and maybe, go boo or scare somebody.
The first day of audition and then the first day after being hired felt like myself and the other people who were going to work there were already friends. It didn't feel like I had to tiptoe around any kind of get to know you relationship silly things. It just felt like, all right, we're already in this and I can talk to you like we've already been hanging out for a while, and I don't feel like I need to change who I am in any way. And it was really nice and relieving.
And then over the years, they'd say, well, I'll try a little speaking role. And I had a couple very nice young ladies that had worked here before write us a letter and said, when I got there, I really couldn't talk to people. But 3 years later, when I left, the experience of acting and talking to people, this young lady had gone into developing all kinds of things, traveling around the world and everything. And she just wrote us this letter out of the blue, and I was like, wow, that's really crazy to think that, you know, working in a haunted house, you know, would do that.
Specifically, I remember this guy, Scott, who, my friend Caitlin, who started working there at the same time I did, we had known each other through theater. We became close to this guy named Scott, and he was one of the strangest people there, but in a good way. He wasn't afraid to be himself at all. He didn't seem shy. He just kind of went for it.
My cousin Scott is my first cousin from my mother's side. Our mothers are sisters. I grew up with Scott. From age 5, I can remember wacky things that we used to do. Scott was always a bit off, in more of a way of like, did things differently, he talked differently.
But he was still more laid back than the rest of the people there, so I just got good vibes from him. And my friend Caitlin and I hung out with him a few times, and we really appreciated his character, both inside the mansion and out.
Oh, it definitely felt like me and everyone else was a family really soon.
We basically have become this family that all year long we do things together, and you know, they're like, you know, they're like my kids, you know, in a way, you know.
My friend Sean and I were always so excited to go there. I know that every time that we would get out of school, we would be like, oh, thank God it's Friday. We can go and scare the hell out of some people and feel like we're around other people who have the same kind of background where, you know, we never really got in anywhere, but this was the place to be, and it felt comforting. It felt like home.